All right. Just behind the scenes, we're talking about what are some of the memorable moments about President Mwai Kibaki. Yes, he's still the president. Constitutionally, he can still be referred as President Mwai Kibaki, though he's former president. A lot has been said about President Mwai Kibaki, and happy birthday, Mr. President, wherever you are. All right, you served your nation pretty well, and I hope you're still enjoying your golf. Yeah. The witty moments. He was in every occasion, he made sure that he left people in stitches, and it was natural. You know, he never forced the jokes. It was natural. But for those people who interacted with him quite long enough, said that he was a brilliant, and he's still a brilliant fella. He was a lecturer, remember? He was a minister, and he was one of the coolest people. He never antagonized anyone. So enjoy your birthday. It's a blessing to see this day.
He was always a very chill president.
Laid
never
back.
Talked fast.
No.
Anaongea tu pole pole. Hata akikuita other names. Pole pole tu.
He was calm. He's still calm.
Yeah. Composure.
Yeah.
Nyinyi mnasema serikali saidia, nyinyi mtasaidia serikali lini?
Yeah.
Sasa nyinyi. We're actually looking at just one clip when he was speaking and his driver was moving the car.
Yes.
Ambia huyo arudishe gari.
Hata naona gari yangu inatoka pale. And it was natural, you know.
Yeah. That was quite something.
Hatutasema hiyo.
Tutasema hiyo.
And I seated here, I'm looking at his tenure. In what you do not know is that former president, that is Emilio Mwai Kibaki, who is marking his his 90th birthday today, was part and parcel of the Vision 2030 blueprint. The making of it, and some of the fruits, including the SGR, yes, the standard gauge railway, were some of the projects that were, featured in that Vision 2030 blueprint that we continue seeing its development. Further on in his tenure, we, realized economic growth. In some quarters, if you ask me, Victor and Jane, today, if I had the power to turn back the hands of time, at a time when we're seeking election, re-election, and such, in the campaign mood, I wouldn't mind another shot at a Kibaki presidency or a Kibaki tenure. That's just me. I don't know about you.
And let's not forget Mbagathi Way, now renamed to the Raila Odinga Way.
Yeah.
One of the longest lasting roads that we have in our country.
But also among the most expensive roads.
Looking at the distance.
Yes.
Yes.
But have you ever seen a pothole?
That's the thing.
No.
I understand they use cement.
Yes.
Concrete as opposed to
yes,
the
the tarmac
and
bitumen.
Bitumen. Yes.
Well,
so
Victor,
they used the technology. It's still working.
Before we go back, all that, let's sample what we have on our various dailies. To you, Victor.
All right. It was just, by the way, happy birthday, Mr. President. Okay.
Happy birthday.
So let's get into the headlines and see what's happening on our local dailies. It was a busy weekend, and on the front page of the Star, fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. Fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. New wave of backstabbing has hit the One Kenya Alliance. Musalia allies give Alliance December 26th deadline to name flag bearer. More details shortly. Ruto tells Uhuru, urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila is an insult. All right. Raila returns to coast to ring fence stronghold in 2022 general election. Details again. Urging Jubilee to support Raila is an insult. That is according to Deputy President William Ruto. DP pledges to revive Big Four agenda, pump 100 billion shillings to create job opportunities. Deputy President on Sunday said President Uhuru Kenyatta's urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila Odinga is an insult to the party. Speaking in Uhuru's Mount Kenya backyard, he said that the president had overlooked dedicated Jubilee supporters in favor of his former nemesis, ODM leader Raila Odinga. The DP said urging Jubilee supporters to back Raila Odinga for the presidency shows contempt of his own party and its loyalists. So that was that. President Kenyatta arrives in Ethiopia, received by Prime Minister Abiy. President Uhuru Kenyatta on Sunday visited Ethiopia. He was received by Ethiopia Prime Minister, that is Abiy Ahmed Ali. Prime Minister Abiy confirmed Uhuru's arrival in a statement via Twitter. Last week, Ethiopian authorities rounded up high-profile Tigrayans, from a bank CEO to priests as well as United Nations staff, in a mass crackdown on suspected supporters of rebellious northern forces, according to people linked to the detainees. Now, police denied targeting the Tigrayan ethnic group, saying that those arrested were believed to have links to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which has fought central government for a year now. So he's there to mediate on how sanity can be found in that particular country. No place for theatrics in Nairobi under my watch. That is according to Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi. Battle for Nairobi's top seat takes shape as Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi on Sunday officially launched his bid for the gubernatorial seat. Delivering his manifesto, the legislator promised to integrate ICT as a core enabler of functions and services by the Nairobi County. So he did that yesterday as he gears up towards 2022. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna said, who was also present there, said that Wanyonyi was a symbol of hope for Nairobi, which has over the past 8 years witnessed a cycle of theatrics. Sad story there. Emotional burial from Vita MP staff killed in road crash. 4 people, that is Nasir's staffers, died after a car got tire burst and rolled several times. Story has it that they were heading to Lamu Peketoni to join the lawmaker at a function there before their car got a tire burst and rolled several times. Hundreds of mourners yesterday thronged 2 Muslim cemeteries in Mombasa to bury 2 of the 4 Vita MP Abdul Samad Nasir's employees who perished Saturday in an accident on Garsen Lamu Road. Ali Omar Naman and Athman Mohammed Omar died alongside Carol Wayua Mweni and Elysian Musyoka after the car they were traveling in got a tire burst and rolled several times. One died on the spot, while the others succumbed on the way to Mpeketoni Sub-County Hospital. The 2, that is Ali and Mohammed, were buried according to Islamic rites at Siragoi and Kikowani Muslim cemeteries. Grace to the affected families. And finally, fresh turmoil rocks One Kenya Alliance as Musalia digs in. Backstabbing has rocked One Kenya Alliance, with the principals now apparently pulling apart as an ugly falling out appears to be in the offing. The One Kenya Alliance outfit, initially suggesting a third force or a 3-horse race, is teetering at the brink of disintegration. Allies of some of the principals have launched a lethal quote-unquote friendly fire. There is speculation that one principal is quietly considering joining Deputy President William Ruto's camp, although negotiations are yet to be concluded. The One Kenya quartet is yet to agree on a presidential candidate as the clock ticks towards 2022. So how is it going to pan out? We've had this discussion over and over and over again, but we'll never stop talking about it. It's politics, and we have different angles to attack it. So they say so many ways to kill a cat, and Jane is killing a cat right now with the Daily Nation.
Is it a cat or a rat?
Killing
Cat
a
a
cat.
rat.
It can kill a rat or
Ni
a cat.
paka ama panya, depending na mali tumetoka.
To kill a rat, you can kick it, you can give it poison, you can put a trap, or in the worst case scenario, burn down the whole house.
Ama unaifuata na basin, ukiona kanapita.
I hope you now know why you guys mko hapo kwa lowlands. You don't know how to trap a rat using a basin. Okay, cheers.
You can.
Let's come to the Daily Nation. Let me just run you through the front page. Very many pictures have been featured here today. There you have it. Yes, that's a better view. So let's start with the story that you've just talked about, Victor, concerning what is happening within Oka, why Oka Unity has hit a turbulence when it comes to the choice of flag bearer, which is threatening to tear apart the alliance. And this is also followed by an incident that happened after a journalist received 2 invites, one for the function that was happening at the church, after which they were told they will be moving on to Kitengela, and then a bit later the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi had sent out another invite for another separate function that the other principals had no idea about. We'll be giving you more details in a bit. Moving on to more politics, just coming to the main read before we sample the other stories here. Scramble for Ruto cash. And this is something that even the police, the national police, have now picked up on with the deputy president. He has been dishing out millions of shillings to hustlers, quote unquote, in his campaign, as he's been stopping different places across the country. But the handouts have sometimes led to fights among the beneficiaries, and as they jostle and scramble to get this money. And now this is something that has actually attracted the attention of the police, and they are now saying that this has come after the campaign financing regulations were thrown out the window, and they are now actually looking and watching closely. That story has been featured here on page 4 with let me see who spoke to this. Let me get this. Yes, the National Police spokesperson. She also blamed the chaos that rocked Kondele in Kisumu last week on this dishing out of money that the deputy president has been doing. But looking at the campaign coordinator in Kisumu for UDA, that is Luke Oko, who said that contrary to the 2 million that was being carried around, he was only given 100,000 Kenya shillings to provide security for the event, again saying that the police are only blaming them and they should actually do their job, and they actually dismissed these allegations that are being put forth by the national police, courtesy of the spokesperson. Now, moving on to education, university placement rules set for review, and there might be a new criteria that will affect Form 4 candidates starting next year when it comes to the requirements for the entry level to universities. There's a meeting that is set to take place today. We'll be giving you more details as per who will be in attendance to this meeting. And still looking at education, student unrest, the problem within our schools. Most of the issues that have been mentioned here are things that have been there over time, but the one that they have actually said has been the biggest problem was the congestion that has come as a result of the 100% transition policy from primary to secondary schools. It is one of the reasons as to why we are seeing this unrest, at least as per what the stakeholders that are mostly the teachers are saying. And also there has been increased permissiveness in the society, leading to students actually emulating what they are seeing from the adults in their households. So that basically is what has been featured here on the front page of the Daily Nation. And then finally, concerning Kenya to introduce corona jabs for teens. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board is evaluating data on Pfizer vaccine and just seeing how it should be administered should they decide that teens are now allowed to take this particular vaccine. That is the Daily Nation for you this morning. Regina.
Sneak peek of the Standard that refers to itself as a bold newspaper, Kenya's bold newspaper. Well, it's neither here nor there. Front page, matters of politics. Mudavadi there tearing into Raila and Ruto pledges there. And the question is, where is the money? He's taking up issue with the 60,000 pledge by ODM leader Raila Odinga, as well as a bottom-up approach by the Deputy President William Ruto there. And he says that some promises are unrealistic unlikely to lead to higher taxes or more debt burdens, and may in turn make the cost of living unbearable. That is ANC leader Mudavadi, Musalia Mudavadi, who says he's not going to support anyone else. He's there to the end. He's running his race to the end. A day in politics is quite a long time. We'll be here keenly watching on what happens in regard to this matter. Now, in as far as the Oka leaders are concerned, they say, or rather they have vowed to sustain a war on graft. The leaders promise zero tolerance to corruption in order to raise money for free secondary school education, reduce taxes by half, as well as support single mothers. Okay. That's what the Oka leader says, and that is what has found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning. Further on matters of national importance and talking about matters education, uproar over school fire penalties. The Ministry of Education, the Cabinet Secretary, has come out strongly, that is Professor Sir George Magoha, saying that no one else should bear the brunt of reconstructing these particular facilities other than the parents. Government is not going to chip in this. So there's been an uproar over school fire penalties. We have seen some of the statements, some of the monies required when these children are going back to school, up to the tune of between 20 to 10,000, and failure to which you're not given admittance back to the school. It's a high time we had this conversation on another level, so to speak, about insurance. That's what I'm thinking about. Insurance. Are our learning institutions insured against this damage to property? Are they? Underwriters, that is my question to you. You can chime in. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1. Talking about matters fuel, remember the cost of transport weighs heavily on our household budgets, and there's been talk that further, if this transport costs that we would have actually gone up if the fuel prices went up, have remained the same, unchanged, or rather will remain unchanged for the next 30 days. That is according to the EPRA. And this is because of a fuel subsidy that has been taken care of by the Petroleum Development Levy. Remember, if you look at the taxes and levies that are meted on petroleum products, especially super petrol and diesel, there are a whole load of them. There's a railway maintenance levy, there's a petroleum development levy, there's so much there. Actually, there are around 7. And the finance committee, so to speak, has I think last month but one, called the EPRA acting DG there to try and explain why Kenya is paying a lot when it comes to, Kenyans are paying so much when it comes to super petrol and diesel, yet our neighbors, Uganda and the likes, are paying the tune of 67 to 70 shillings per litre of super petrol. And there's been talk to try and bring the cost of fuel down. Feasibility of it, what it takes in the next 30 days, a fuel subsidy has ensured that the cost of super petrol remains as is, or as has been before yesterday midnight, or rather midnight this morning, give or take 12:01, so to speak. So that is just a sneak peek of what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Remember, we did not have any matches of the EPL over the weekend, so there's not much to talk about. You're not going to talk about Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United. There was no game. It's quite a boring weekend when there is no game.
Yeah, we have World Cup qualifiers. We're
going to be having a game today at 4 p.m. And when I say we are going to be having, I mean Kenya is going to be playing Rwanda at 4 p.m. at the Nyayo Stadium. Remember, this is just a formality. Kenya is already out of the race, so to speak, in the World Cup qualifiers, the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. In Group E, we only have 3 points. That is behind Uganda and Mali, that is leading the pack at 13 points. So in summary, Harambee Stars World Cup qualifiers are as follows. So we drew with Uganda 0-0, Rwanda 1-1, that is Mali. Mali is as if they had come to play rugby with Harambee Stars there, having made 1 try. Those are 5 goals. The only thing they lacked is a conversion or 2. Otherwise, Kenya lost 5-0 to Mali. Then on a return, Kenya also lost 0-1 to Mali. And Uganda, we drew with Uganda 1-1. So today, 4 p.m., for all it's worth, for let's exit, but at least beating Rwanda 5. Why not? We can do it, right? Yeah, that's what we have on the front page and the back page of the Standard this morning. Victor.
Okay. So, I want to ask a very simple question. There is this term that has been used for quite some time. Character development.
Actually, kuna watu walisema KICD stands for Kenya Institute of Character Development.
You get it. How did it come about? Where did it come about? What does it even stand for? Loosely. You understanding? Yes, Jen?
Loosely, as per what I have understood from being used on the socials, is life ikikufundisha adabu, and especially for most it has been relationship wise. Nasema ile character development nimepigwa hapa. You know better. I came in this way, nimetoka nikiwa nimedevelop character wise.
So ulichezwa?
Au kuchezwa, ulifundishwa vitu huko unataka kufundishwa, lakini ulifundishwa by force.
Good side or the bad side of kufundishwa?
Mostly nakuanga mashida.
Mi spendi kufunzwa.
Your character is developed.
Yeah. Regina, what do you understand by character development?
Tuongee in terms of English ama lugha ya mtaa. Mimi ni Kanairo.
Loosely.
If you have never experienced character development.
Hey, the what?
We understand.
The what?
We understand.
Development. Don't remind me, Jane, you said some people have freed.
That was off air.
Yes. Anyway, kama hujai kwa you've never gone through character development in Nairobi. Count yourself lucky. Pack your small belongings. Go back up country. Because you really never want to go through that. Character development hapa Nairobi imenionyesha maneno.
What is it?
Let's start off with, well, let me give you an example.
Yes.
And I'm not going to go through like
explain ya director amesema hajui.
So this is me shopping online. Shopping online. See some nice item. To be precise, you know, we borrow hair from horses and such and such. Mi niko hapo niko like, hii look inaweza.
Imkia iko sawa.
Imkia nikifanya tu.
I like that.
Mr. So and so will be confused, and if he's confused, I'm happy because I get things done, right? Motivated like nobody's business. I pinch my coins here and here, do some savings. You see, hair is bought by the inches. Human hair, actually. If it's 20 inches, you're talking about 20,000. If it's 30 inches, you're talking about 30K.
The longer the hair, the more the price, the higher the price.
Victor, nyinyi nye mnasema nyo safi kama balloon, man.
Yes.
You should not, when you see a woman actually do this, same chezo, you know, flipping the hair, same chezo, up on the pesa investment, eco. Now, digressing. So I get online, buy this item. Now, Liza, do you do COD? Cash on delivery? Sema pana. Red flag. Then I look at all the comments there. I'm like, hey, this is very legit. So, kafunga macho. Nikafunga macho. Katuma pesa. Ding ding. Till number ata. Aya. I'm waiting. I am waiting from 8 a.m. Niko hapo.
Na uliambiwa inafika saa ngapi?
Wako town. 45 minutes. It's coming to the office. 8 a.m. 9 a.m. now panic, kuna traffic, then I'm thinking kwani delivery and a drive, okay, 9 a.m. 10 a.m. nothing. 11 niko like nimeibiwa. So I call the number, inalia inakatwa, inalia ina disconnect. I am like I go back to the page nowhere,
user cannot be found,
page missing. Page missing. Whoa.
Na sasa umetuma how much?
Please, nikisema sitapewa zingine.
So
sponsor may not be willing to sponsor anymore.
Kusema nilibiwa. In other words, you've been given a character development.
Character development, my friend.
Proper
one. So
since that day,
yes.
Shopping online, you bring the item.
Okay.
I interact with the gadget. Nagusa, naona iko real.
Yeah.
If it's an electronic, I even test if it's working. Then I pay.
Okay. So Regina, allow me to cut you short briefly. The reason why I asked this question of what do you understand by character development, people have it's been used to mean some other things. Okay. But my question is so simple. What is character? Are you a person of good character? It's of umechapa character development. Wewe hii Kenya hii Kanairo nini utachapa character. But on a serious note, are you a person of good character?
Do you have a character that
that you can stand somewhere and Jane can say Victor is a man of good character, or Regina is a lady of good character? Jokes left aside and everything else. Have you ever asked that thing, yourself, that question? We make jokes about it, hey, mazee. But ukiwa tu kwa kona tu pale and asking yourself, are you a person of good character? Let me give you some, it's called managementstudyguide.com. What character development is all about. It says that importance of character in personality development. So character development is here. So character refers to the sum of an individual's qualities and characteristics which differentiates him or her from others. An individual's character is actually an amalgamation of his or her qualities which makes him unique and helps him to stand apart from the rest. So a person of good character finds acceptance wherever he goes and respected by all. Character includes, not limited to, honesty, leadership, trust, courage, and patience. So are you a person of good character?
Hata mimi niko na swali. Huwezi kuwa unatuliza maswali on a Monday morning like that, then you just go scot free.
Si tuende break before muuliza.
No, wacha nimpe time ya kufikiria.
Okay.
What is the difference between character and personality? Victor Oloo.
It was not a matter of
Victor.
No, Regina.
We can Google.
We can Google so that we get it right.
Google.
Not to prove each other wrong or right in this situation. It was a point of driving a point home. You get it. Your personality and character are two different things. All right. So who is you? Who is Regina? What is your character? What kind of personality are you?
Actually, let me help. Let me assist.
You've asked Google.
No.
Okay, help us. Okay, help us.
I'm informing. I'm not even helping. Okay, so character is about your moral compass, your ethics.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it is founded on, your values, which actually form your personality. Your personality is those things that you do because of what you see yourself as. So if you believe and your values are, kindness is a virtue, you will be kind to people. You will be generous. You'll be as such. That is your personality. The view of yourself helps you act out that or do those things. Then there's character. Are you a person who is willing to do a bribe because you need to get things done? Haraka haraka. So in one way or another, personality and character are meshed, but personality is more of you, inborn, what you believe you are. Then character, morals, ethics, do you have some, not, and such. So more or less the same. So yeah, since umetuliza mambo ya character development, as far as we are concerned, Victor, when you say character development in this Nairobi, people have suffered. Nata tujaingililia character development when it has Jen hata hajajibu swali ya character development.
No, as in just looking at the loose meaning and the actual meaning, they're one and the same. Because in life it teaches you, because it's about making you better, know better, developing yourself. And looking at the loose meaning, it's actually the same thing. You know, you go through an experience, you know better. Looking at the dictionary meaning, it's about improving who you are and, you know, how you carry yourself. So they're all one and the same. Ni venye tu tunaitumianga sasa loosely, and especially in the recent past. Unasema ile character development nimepigwa huku. It's not a joke. It is not for the weak.
Victor, what has been your experience in this Nairobi? Juu unajua mimi na wewe ni wageni.
No. I don't need to go there. Sorry.
Character development has been real.
No. Good enough. I've been given that character development. I've developed myself to be where I am. Sijachapwa character development.
Najua your story. Let us catch a very quick break. We'll be back to continue with more of what the papers have for us today. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya, and we continue within the headlines. But in case you're just joining us, I am Jain Wambui. We're glad you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. You can check in and let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official handle is at KBC Channel 1, and our individual handles ever remain to be at Regina Manyara, at Victor Oloo, and at Jain Wambui. Now, before we continue, I asked Google to tell me a lame joke. Are you guys ready for it? I don't think Vic alisikia. Regina, kama unaikumbuka usijibu. Why does the scarecrow keep getting promoted? Victor?
Ask Victor.
Why does the scarecrow keep getting promoted?
Scarecrow getting promoted?
It's a joke, don't overthink it.
He's already overthinking.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Because it's outstanding in his field.
Booyah!
That's a good one. Na ingine, what's a bug's favorite sport? A bug, like, what's the favorite sport?
Kwa nywele.
I have no idea.
Cricket.
Nice one, I get it. Victor bado hajaribu
Pentium 94.
Yani Pentium 94 for real.
Tuendelea na magazeti basi. So let's touch on this story concerning our schools. It talks of the problem with our schools as unrests continue to spiral out of control. So failure to comply with safety standards, the collapse of guidelines when it comes to counseling programs, increased permissiveness by society, some of the top reasons that stakeholders have said are, the reason have blamed for the perennial unrest in our schools that we have been seeing almost on a yearly basis, except for 2020 where there wasn't much. And all this has always, in most cases, led to the loss of massive property and consequently huge financial burdens for our schools. But one of the new factors that they're now saying is the congestion in schools, which has been witnessed since the government introduced the 100% transition policy from primary schools to secondary schools, schools, and yet they have not expanded the infrastructure capacity of most schools. So according to the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, as well as the Kenya Union for Post-Primary Education, the congestion has made it so hard for teachers to enforce discipline amid stiff competition for the limited resources. Another person who was speaking to this is, let me get the name. Okay, before I get the name, they say that the public is also contributing to the learners' behavior. How are students expected to resolve issues amicably when they see adults resorting to violence in their homes? And this has mainly been attributed to the 10 months that kids were at home, and we can all attest to the fact that violence, and especially domestic violence, was on a steep rise. Looking at the 2019-2020 year, those 10 months that kids were at home, so many cases of violence were reported, and this is said to be one of the consequences, or rather the ripple effects of what that may have had, the impact it may have had on the kids. And this also goes back to a report that was done back in 2018, which was called Inquiry into the Wave of Student Unrest in Secondary Schools in Kenya for Term 2 in 2018. And but so far they're really looking into this concern about the role that the household has had in the unrest that we are seeing among the kids. And I'd like to hear from you guys. You know, do you think... Personally, I think there is a link. Looking at this wave of unrest that we are seeing, our kids just wanaona ishule inachomeka, then they go that way. They just choose violence over any form of healthy communicating their concerns to the schools. And this can be tied to the issues that they witnessed when they were home during the pandemic time, the 2020 academic year. Almost all of it was spent at home. Vic, well, do you think there's an actual link?
Okay. I cannot directly link it to what happened in during the pandemic, because the entire universe was affected.
Yes.
So it's not Kenya that really got that wrath of the COVID-19. So any student saying that they are being affected because of the COVID-19, talk about your parents. They were worst affected. Your guardians, the government, and everybody else. People lost their jobs. People lost everything. Okay. So if you say that it was because of the pandemic, I don't think that is a proper excuse. But then you said that some of the students are now going on to ban dormitories and all whatever because they've had it happening in different institutions. That is what we call peer pressure. All right. And just to ask a question, the moment you are a student and you're burning down your dormitory, you go back home, your parents are being told, like for example, Kakamega High School, they were charged 9,000 shillings and some hundreds. Someone is coming from a poor background and you expect them to pay that 9,000 bob. I really don't think students should link whatever happened during the pandemic, because if anything, they are in school, they have got all their meals catered for. So you cannot say that they are feeling the pinch of the COVID-19 while in school. It's their parents and guardians who are still feeling that pinch out here. So if you ask me, I don't think they should link the two. Jen?
Ray, stakeholders are saying there's a link with the wave of violence that we saw when schools were closed, kids are at home with their parents, their caregivers, and this is one of the ripple effects of that, poor forms of communication.
You see, I'm of a different opinion though. When you talk about school unrest, it hasn't started in 2021. We experienced it way in the 90s, the 200s, and it's always a wave every second term, every longest term. The only thing that this has done, or rather this situation has done, is that it has exacerbated it because of the COVID-19 disruptions. Further on, there's so much that meets the eye. And I remember our sermon yesterday in church. Actually, one of the school counselors said that children, right now, teenagers are dealing with so much. And they even don't have a let out of release. And also parents and teachers do not have that time to actually have that conversation and find out what is happening. Maybe they're doing it to, you know, try and let out steam or communicate something that has not been communicated adequately as they should. But I would not entirely blame it on the COVID-19 disruptions, because school unrest is something that the education system has dealt with way from the early 2000s all the way to now, it seems that we keep on keeping it cyclic, you know, one way or another. There's something needs to be done. I think kids need to be talked to more.
Yes.
And I also think there's also a lot of pressure to perform. Remember, we are transiting into CBC. But in as much as we are transiting into CBC, we have students who are already in the old system. And the old system, in abolishing the 844 system, it was performance-based, so to speak. So there's a lot of pressure. I'm imagining the candidates we're going to be having in 2023. The pressure they'll have gone through, 2024 the same, until we get back to a fully transition. So there's lots of pressure and we're all trying to adopt. So the blame doesn't solely lie with COVID-19. There are very many other factors that are, you know, contributing to this. I just think we also need to give a listening ear to our kids more. And it's not the guidance and counseling where you're called in and you're told about boy-girl relationship. It goes beyond that. Because if I go back to our guidance and counseling sessions, it was all about that. Then over the weekend, mnaekewa paraffin kwa githeri. I still don't understand that. It did not help me one bit. So I think we need to listen to these kids more. That's my take.
Here they just termed the pandemic as a new factor among the many that have always been there, you know, the ones that we have been dealing with as a country for a long time. And they also go ahead to say that this particular committee identified lack of communication between parents and teachers and learners, as well as over strictness at home and at school, and consequently insufficient training when it comes to school management, are contributing to this wave of unrest that we are seeing among the students. So not to say that the pandemic was the sole reason as to why we are seeing this, but it has been approached as a new factor that is contributing to some of these issues that we are seeing among our schools. Ray.
Now I want to take, before we cross over to another, you know, just an opinion piece here, an analysis of what is happening as far as matters politics is concerned, as captured by this particular daily. I would want to draw your attention to a story there talking about school unrest and such, and who bears the cost. There's an opinion piece here. They want to believe that the person who is, contributed to this is a parent, so to speak. And they're saying even the reintroduction of corporal punishment is not going to stop the school unrest. And I'm with them. I'm with him. Actually, it's a she, Vivian Oresha. So, the introduction of the cane in schools cannot deter rogue students from their evil schemes. Abolition of boarding school is not an answer either, because it will not be possible for students who stay places far from school to become the scholars unless parents start transferring students to nearby schools. So leaders should await results of investigations that seek to establish the root cause of arson in school. The DCI should take keen interest in principles of the school that have been burnt and establish the root causes. I like the direction that Vivian Oresha from Narok has taken in chiming in this conversation about reintroduction of caning and the school unrest. While that is happening, parents of students in Kakamega High School have taken issues with the monies that have been asked to pay up to have the children come back to school. And they have raised questions over the criteria used to come up with the cost of damage per student. And each student is required to pay 9,800 before they are allowed back to school today.
And how many are they in the school? Have they given a figure?
They haven't given a figure. However, the total sum that the school is demanding for the repairs is 21.6 million shillings. 21.6 million shillings. So, according to a letter drafted by the Parents Teachers Association, they question the formula used by the management to arrive at the cost, which they insist are unrealistic. Was the assessment of the fire, that is the damage, carried out by a competent professional? Can we have a second opinion on how the figure of the renovation looks way above the expectation of stakeholders? Yes. Earlier, the school board had issued a notice asking parents to collectively pay 21.6 million shillings before learners are allowed back to school. The notice of the board is dated November 11th and said the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure and Housing had helped them estimate the cost of damaged dome to be 12 million. So it also ordered parents to pay 695,420 for the purchase and the installation of CCTV camera that was destroyed in the fire, 4.2 million for buying metal double-decker beds, and another cost of 4.5 million shillings, which the management said it will use to purchase other items destroyed. So the board, the PTA has met over the weekend, and they say we need to be told the role the security company played to avert this damage. Could this be an abdication of duty, and if yes, what responsibilities are they taking? This are Parents and Teachers Association coming out to say, 21.6 million is a bit above expectations, and we want to know the criterion. While others are chiming in and saying, what responsibility did the security team bear in this? Was it a case of abdication of duties? And if so, what role, or rather, what are they going to bring to the table in as far as the repairs of this particular property is concerned? So much is happening. But at the end of the day, what students and pupils need to know is that it's the parents who is going to bear the brunt of your misconduct in school.
Kiboko irudishwe isirudishwe.
You see,
Kiboko irudishwe isirudishwe.
Regina, you know what happens is, when it comes to money matters, it's always very sensitive. It's always sensitive. Even if they said that every student was to pay 2,000 shillings, someone had to raise a point. 2,000 shillings kwa nini? It's always very sensitive. But then, parents will ask that question, but to the students, do you really understand what your guardians are now going through to pay that amount? It sounds like, I don't know how to put it, but as a student watching this show right now, perhaps some of your parents are not able even to get 2,000 shillings. Your mom or your dad will wake up every single day at 4 a.m. We call them Watuajuakali. During, weeding season, they go around the simple jobs around the village for you to get that money, the casual laborers, for you to go back to school. And then now you're telling this old man to pay 9,000 shillings. That's what we call, you're giving your parents, how do you call it? Lifestyle diseases.
Jumulichoma dormitory.
Just think about it, because that 9,000 bob, and probably you're not even alone. You have like 3, 4, or even 5 kids who are also going to school. I mean, students, wherever you are watching this show, stop this. Stop it. Stop it. It doesn't matter whether it was pandemic, whether it was there's no dialogue, but it doesn't justify you to burn down,
destroying property,
to destroy property, to burn down a school. It doesn't justify that. One day you'll become a parent, and you know what goes around comes around.
Full circle.
It's a full cycle. It's never. There's no gap somewhere. You will feel it at some point along the line in life.
Well, unfortunately, the truth of the matter is, our children would never understand what it takes to be a guardian or a parent.
Yeah.
They will never. They will get it when they're here, where we are right now as parents and guardians.
When they know better.
Yes. But right now, I think we need to go deeper and understand this cyclic wave of school unrest. Because during the 844 system, devoid of the COVID-19 situation and disruptions, the second term was always a problem. And especially around this time when candidates would be sitting for their exams. It would be a tense moment. So we need to go further and interrogate issues behind, you know, this school unrest. And I believe the case in school A is not the same in school D or F for that matter. That these situations are very individual depending on the learning institutions. And I think these reports also need to be made public. That school XYZ was closed indefinitely, and the findings of the report indicate that it was a collusion between the teachers and the students because, for example, they were not happy with the latest move by the management, either to increase, you know, let's have the report made public so that people can know, and it can go in history that school A fire was caused because of XYZ, and this was the action that was being taken.
Actually,
that
Regina,
way, we'll avoid blanket, you know, blanket assumptions that it's because of COVID and pressure and yeah.
You know, the last report that was done was this one that I had briefly mentioned that was done in 2018. The report on inquiry into the wave of student unrest in secondary schools in Kenya in term 2, 2018. And according to this research, the causes of students' indiscipline included limited professional guidance and counseling in school, increased permissiveness and a laissez-faire approach in the society, failure to address indiscipline among transferred learners, exam stress, promise of exam leakage, and a long second term. And this was as per this particular document was prepared by the Education and Research Committee of the National Assembly that was chaired by Julius Melly.
Around 2-3 days ago, Interior PS Kamaza Kibisho was speaking to addressing a press during a function, and he said, he gave an example that he called actually a very young girl and said, you want us to start negotiating and having a dialogue with a 6-year-old child on the importance of not burning a school. And he was so passionate about that talk. And he even alluded to the reintroduction of corporal punishment in schools. And even some of the clergy last week also called for the reintroduction of corporal punishment. This is something that was banned by the government way back in 2011. And talks along the corridors, you know, are pointing towards the introduction of that. Okay, let's take a break before we take our corporal punishment here in studio. We will be back with more after this break.